At the start of the story, we meet a fisherman casting his net into the sea, just as he had done many times before. However, this time something goes wrong. His net becomes stuck deep in the water. In an attempt to free it, the fisherman dives into the sea but never resurfaces, as he is surrounded by a massive school of fish. The scene then shifts to Germany, where we find Charlie in a lighthouse. Suddenly, he receives a mysterious and incorrect signal from the sea, prompting him and his companion to head out to investigate. They discover that their marine tracker has become entangled in a fishing net. The story then cuts to Canada, where Leon, a researcher focused on whales, arrives at the shore after hearing about a large, injured whale that has washed up. A local fisherman claims the whale attacked his boat, and in the struggle to defend himself, the whale was injured. Back in Germany, Charlie is seen deploying a new marine tracker into the sea to monitor marine life and gather data on the creatures living there. Meanwhile, in Canada, Leon is investigating the abnormal behavior of the whales. He warns his friend, who is running a tourist boat for whale watching, but it's too late, the boat has already set off. Leon follows them into the open sea and spots two whales near the tourist boat. Initially, the tourists are delighted by the whales' displays, but things take a sudden turn. One of the whales strikes the boat with unusual force, splitting it in half and throwing everyone into the water. Leon rushes to rescue the tourist, but tragically fails to save his friend. The scene then transitions to a French restaurant, where a chef is skillfully preparing seafood. While cutting a crab, a strange white liquid unexpectedly squirts onto his face. The chef washes it off and resumes working, continuing without issue until evening. However, as the night falls, his health begins to deteriorate. The chef who had been exposed to the strange white liquid tragically dies. Soon after, two other chefs working in the same restaurant also fall mysteriously ill, requiring immediate treatment in the ICU. No one can figure out what happened to them. Meanwhile, scientists aboard a research ship collect samples from the seabed and discover ice worms, creatures previously unknown to science, living in the frozen depths. These worms have jaws and an extraordinary ability to reproduce rapidly. Back in Canada, Leon encounters a fisherman who had witnessed the whale attack firsthand. Leon informs the police that it wasn't just one incident. He had seen multiple instances of large whales attacking boats recently. His concern grows as he heads to inspect a research ship returning from the sea. Upon examining the ship's hull, Leon finds strange organisms clinging to it, organisms that no one has seen before. He immediately sends them off for further study. A second ship is sent out to the middle of the ocean to collect samples from an area where the strange worms were believed to be breeding. However, before the crew can gather the samples, the ship suffers severe damage from a violent explosion. While the crew survives, they are left deeply shaken and frightened by the event. In the lab, scientists studying the ice worms come to a startling conclusion. The worms carry bacteria that enable them to consume ice. This ability allows them to survive deep in the ocean and thrive in freezing conditions, potentially burrowing into the sea's icy layers. Meanwhile, in Germany, Charlie, still stationed at the lighthouse, begins receiving multiple alerts, which cause him great concern. Just as he's processing the warnings, he witnesses a massive whirlwind forming over the sea. The swirling vortex engulfs a nearby boat, pulling it into its depths. Shortly after, the scene shifts to a bustling city, where two people stand on a bridge, casually chatting. One of them, a girl, playfully grabs. At the same time, thousands of jellyfish surfaced in the sea. Meanwhile, in the science lab, researchers were studying the bacteria found on the chef's body, which originated from the liquid that spilled out of the crab and onto his face. A startling discovery followed. After the chef's accident, many patrons of the restaurant either fell gravely ill or died mysteriously. Leon soon arrives to request permission from the scientists to perform an autopsy on a whale. He aimed to investigate how environmental pollution, particularly air and water contamination, had affected the whale's behavior, driving it to become so aggressive that it attacked humans. While the autopsy didn't yield immediate results, Leon found an unusual substance in the whale's brain, which he sent to the lab for further analysis. The scientists also learned about a man who had died under bizarre circumstances at a gas station, which puzzled them. Upon further examination, it was revealed that this man was infected by the same bacteria as the chef. This discovery led them to conclude that the bacteria were now spreading through the restaurant's water supply system. Meanwhile, Leon uncovered more unsettling information, whales had been attacking ships in various parts of the world. He mapped the incidents and realized the whales were migrating, and that these strange behavioral changes occurred during their migration. Determined to understand the cause, Leon wasted no time and dove into the ocean himself, equipped with a camera. His goal was to attach a camera to the sleeping whales deep underwater, a mission he successfully completed. In a parallel discovery, Japanese scientists found similar bacteria and parasites on the ocean's surface, identical to the ones Leon's team was studying. However, they chose not to share this information with the rest of the world. Through the camera Leon attached to the whale, his team observed an oil company drilling a massive hole deep in the ocean, attempting. A large number of crabs have been found washing up on shores in various parts of the world. Many were collected and taken to laboratories for testing, where scientists discovered that the same bacteria infecting the chef were present in these crabs. Upon testing, they realized that this bacteria rapidly absorbs blood cells. Meanwhile, in a lighthouse in Germany, a man named Charlie began hearing strange sounds coming from the sea, which he recorded and sent to a lab for analysis. However, authorities dismissed the sounds as random noise. But as reports of similar sounds increased, the scientists finally took notice and sent research equipment and a team to assist Charlie. Before the team could begin their investigation, they received an urgent evacuation order due to an impending tsunami. Wasting no time, they quickly boarded a helicopter with Charlie and evacuated the area. Elsewhere, a press conference was held to inform the public about the bacteria discovered in the sea, which had begun spreading through water supply systems and had the potential to fatally infect humans. During the press conference, Leon warned the fishermen about the dangerous bacteria and urged them to leave the sea. However, the fishermen refused, stating that the sea was their home and they had always lived there. They had no intention of abandoning it. Following this, a meeting of scientists took place, during which they discussed the rapid spread of the bacteria. Some speculated that the bacteria's sudden appearance might have been caused deliberately, while others were skeptical. Regardless, after the meeting, the scientists met with government officials to report that the bacteria from the sea was now affecting the entire marine ecosystem. A mysterious bacteria has begun infecting all marine life, though it hasn't killed any animals so far. However, when these sea creatures consume humans, the bacteria starts infecting people too. Government officials seem unconcerned and tell scientists, "Your job is to find solutions, not just report problems." Eventually, the scientists consult one of the world's leading experts. This scientist reviews their report and listens carefully to the recordings associated with it. He reveals that the sounds they captured aren't ordinary noises, but seem to be coming from an unknown world. His conclusion surprises the other scientists. The expert further explains that his team had previously detected similar signals in the entire Katika region. Alongside him, a Japanese official also examines the report and concludes that these sounds pose a serious threat to the world. He emphasizes that the scientists' experiment could be crucial in averting a major global crisis. Meanwhile, the group of scientists gathers to discuss the potential outcomes of these strange noises, the dangers they might face, and how they could protect themselves. It becomes clear that their next step involves traveling to the Arctic Ocean. Before setting out, they bid their families farewell. According to the scientists' calculations, the bacteria are primarily located in a remote valley in Antarctica, where they may have existed undetected for thousands of years. Without further delay, the group embarks on their journey, boarding a ship where each person focuses on their assigned tasks. Accompanying them is a reporter, documenting the expedition and interviewing the crew. Suddenly, the ship passes through an area where all its signals are interrupted for a full minute. The scientists immediately become alert, realizing that they might be on the verge of receiving a signal from the mysterious organism they had been investigating. Soon after, they pick up strange signals from the ocean floor. Among the recordings, they capture the sound of a child crying. They decide to send these signals back to the ocean floor, hoping to establish communication. Their goal is to find out whether there is an intelligent species or another world living deep beneath the ocean that wants to communicate with them. However, relying solely on signals wasn't enough. Two scientists, Charlie and Inga, descend to the ocean floor inside an organic water capsule to investigate further. As they reach the depths, strange things begin to happen. Their connection to the boat weakens, their oxygen levels plummet, and the capsule starts malfunctioning. Despite the crew's attempts, including Poland's efforts to pull the capsule back up, Charlie refuses to ascend. She turns off the capsule's lights and sees something glowing in the darkness below. Eventually, they return to the ship with their capsule, which is brought back aboard through a small compartment beneath the boat. Once on deck, the crew eagerly asks them what they saw. Inga reports that he saw nothing, but Charlie insists she witnessed brilliant lights beneath the surface. As they discuss their experience, more signals are received from the ocean's depths, responding to the child's crying. This confirmed that if there was indeed a species down there, it had begun communicating with them. The returning signals were similar to the initial childlike cries, but with significant changes, suggesting a deeper connection had been established. At this point, Japanese officials who had authorized the research arrive at the ship via helicopter. They observe the scientists' activities and attempt to grasp the situation. The scientists have developed a theory suggesting that the bacteria living on the ocean floor actually constitute a community. This species has existed at sea level for thousands of years and is actively trying to prevent pollution from spreading in the ocean. Their goal in releasing the bacteria into the sea is to drive away any pollution and preserve their habitat. Curiously, the Japanese president questions how it is possible for a species to relinquish its water resources to another. The scientists respond that this species has been communicating with them through the signals they've received, indicating a desire to engage in dialogue and understand their messages. They speculate that it might be possible to reach an agreement with these organisms to collaboratively solve their mutual problems. However, the discussion takes a turn when one scientist proposes creating a chemical designed to eliminate these bacteria. While they could potentially disperse this chemical throughout the ocean, the head scientist prohibits such an action. He emphasizes that deploying it at the ship's port is not permissible. Despite this, most of the team decides to proceed with the experiment anyway. They gather around a pool on the ship and the chemical is introduced into the water. Moments later, an unusual explosion occurs, causing a deafening scream that shatters all glass aboard the ship and disrupts its machinery, leaving them stranded in the ocean. Frantically, the team searches for a way to escape, only to discover that the surrounding ice is moving dangerously close to their vessel, effectively trapping them. When they emerge from the ship, the crew notices a blue light beneath them that appears to be pulling the vessel away. The captain hesitates to turn on the engine, but it fails to start. They realize that when humans first polluted the waters, this species had issued warnings to prevent such actions. Now, after the scientists attempted to eradicate them, the species, which they had named R, is seeking revenge by taking control of the ship. The Japanese president questions the head scientists about why they can't deploy the chemical throughout the ocean to eliminate species R. The scientists explain that even if all manufacturing companies globally produce the chemical, it would still not be sufficient to kill species R in the vast ocean. Their only option for saving humanity now lies in listening to species R. In a bold move, Charlie retrieves the body of the journalist who had been infected by the R species and throws it into the water as an offering to signal their willingness to listen. Because the ship's communication signals are down, Charlie climbs into the water capsule intended for sending the journalist into the sea. He injects a liquid derived from the R infection into his own heart before opening the capsule door, uncertain of what might happen next. As he floats in the water, the species begins to withdraw from the ship, clearing away the ice that had surrounded them. Charlie is enveloped by glowing lights from the R species, which seem to cradle him gently. The scene transitions to Charlie washed ashore, suggesting a new beginning and connection with the species he had risked everything to understand. Charlie is still alive. When he opens his eyes, they shimmer with the same luminous quality as the R species, signifying that he has successfully achieved his goal. He has formed a bond with the species, indicating a newfound understanding and connection between them. The series concludes on this hopeful note, showcasing the possibility of coexistence and collaboration between humans and the mysterious beings of the ocean.